filmmaker Abhinay Dio to talk about the 10-year anniversary of his cult film Delhi Belly. Hello and welcome, Abhinay.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
First and foremost, what does Delhi Belly mean to you in one word?
In one word,
In one
madness.
word, madness. Okay. All right. I think a lot of the fans of the film will also agree. It's been 10 years. Take us back to where it all started. How did it all begin?
It was actually everything about Delhi Belly for me has been stories. And it's actually you'll know why I use the word madness from
Yeah.
the beginning process of Delhi Belly to the end. And even 10 years later, I'm still facing the madness of it, which is it started off with I was an advertising guy and I wanted to get into making movies. And one day I get a call from a LA producer called Jim, and he says, "I we have a script for you." And the same day, in the evening, I get a call from Amir Khan Productions to say that Amir wants to meet you for a film. And I was like, one sec, I've just about started thinking of making a movie.
Okay.
So somebody is seeming to be have read my mind. Okay, and that also who? Hollywood and Bollywood, and the best of Bollywood, that is Amir Khan, and Hollywood, whoever has suddenly decided to, throw me two scripts. So I was like, what's going on? And at the same time, I was also talking to Excel Entertainment to do a film with them. So I said, well, this can't be true. This is just too good to be true. And then I went to meet Amir Khan. At the same time, Jim Fargelli had sent me, that is Jim from LA, had sent me the script. Okay. So I had read the script previously
Mhm.
and I'd loved it.
Hmm.
Okay. And then I went to Amir Khan,
Hmm.
and the next morning, Amir gives me a script in my hand, which has the same name and which is exactly the same script. And I was like, what? I have no idea that the two people are calling me for the same thing. Okay.
Okay.
And it was crazy. Now, the funda was that Amir had liked the script
Hmm.
and called, because these people had sent the script to Amir to produce.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And Amir had loved it. And both individually thought of me as the director. What are the chances?
Wow.
You know,
And you've
so
not
that
even directed a feature film before, right? Before this. And you were just
never.
thinking about getting into it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I had done advertising work which was winning every award, and there was a whole bunch of some really cool advertising work that I had been lucky to do.
Hmm.
And they had seen my advertising work, loved it, and decided ki ha, this guy can be the this guy can direct it. But can you imagine, both individually
Yeah,
have
thought of you.
decided and thought of, yeah. Of
Like,
course, I
that's
was not the only
destiny,
director.
right? That's just
Yeah.
destiny. It was destined to happen. Now there's a lot of folklore about Delhi Belly. So today I want to ask you about all the trivia that I know, and you tell me if it's true or false. All right,
Yeah,
Abhinay?
yeah, sure.
Is it true that writer Akshat Verma was initially a little hesitant to approach Amir Khan because he thought, the film was too A-rated for the family-friendly Amir Khan Productions?
Yes, it is true. Actually, but what you call it, Akshat
Hmm.
had had come to India to pitch this film to producers. He had pitched it to almost every possible person on the planet Earth. Okay, in terms of at least filmmakers, including Ramanand Sagar. He had gone to even the people who have made Ramayana. Imagine, with taking Delhi Belly to them. Is what was he thinking? But so Amir was still somebody. He thought that इसमें से कुछ निकलने वाला नहीं है. But let me just. I
Try.
have one copy left. Let me just send it to him.
Let me
You
just
know.
try. And is
Yeah,
it
but it is
true
true.
that it was lying in a pile of scripts and Kiran Rao happened to read it and she said, "Hey, Amar, you must also read it." Is that how it happened?
Yes, yes, that's
Wow.
exactly how it happened.
Wow. Talk about destiny playing a big role. Now,
Oh yeah.
What I also hear is that Ranbir Kapoor and Chitrangda Singh were first approached to play it, but then they both later declined it. So tell me about that.
So actually, Ranbir, yes, it is true that they were approached. My point is that we were approaching a whole bunch of people from the industry because we wanted to know. See, this was a film which had no precedent.
Yeah.
This was a kind of film which we didn't know who's going to be ready, who's going to be right. Even if it's a A-listing star, whether he's the right person. And as a director, what I wanted out of this film clearly was I didn't want any actor to come on board who had a lot of baggage.
Hmm.
You know, I wanted people to not expect anything out of these people
Hmm.
from the actors who come in. You know, so that was one part which I was pretty sure about. So I was being conscious about who I'm casting because I didn't want anybody who kind of has established himself as XYZ. You know,
Hmm.
and so we were trying a lot of people. So Ranbir, yes, Ranbir was spoken to. It didn't work out for multiple reasons. Chitrangada was thought of as well for Shanaz's part or the other part. Doesn't matter. And then later on, we thought against it. Precisely for the same reason. Not that they are good or bad. It's because we just wanted to go with actors which are so fresh that as an audience they have no idea what to expect out of them.
And also, you were very particular that there was going to be no lead actor on this film. It's an ensemble.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
how did you decide on the final cast? Tell me about casting the final actors.
You know, it probably has been one of the most difficult casting exercises in my life because we auditioned people over and over and over again. And this was a very different type of auditioning process because I wanted, not just individual auditions. I wanted to audition them together.
Hmm.
So I was bringing different permutation combinations of actors and saying, okay, maybe this guy with this guy and this third guy may work better. So in one of the auditions, there would be Kunal, there would be one, and some other two actors. Then there will be Veer, then other two actors. So with this, almost about 7 to 8 months, probably 6 to 7 months at least of different permutation combinations. All, even Imran auditioned some 6, 7 times. Kunal auditioned 6, 7 times. Veer, same thing. You know, so all of them were being grilled in their audition. They had almost shot half the film in auditions. You know, so and after that we kind of sat together and said, okay, I think he works, and then we did one more final audition with the final three, which is Imran, Kunal, and Veer, and we played out a couple of scenes, and I said, okay, this is it, this is my perfect cast.
But
So
what
it
about
was quite an
Vijay Raj?
exhaustive.
I'm a little curious. Did Vijay Raj have to audition so many times because he's like a
No,
perfect actor?
yeah. He didn't have to. While for Vijay Raj, I was very clear about Vijay Raj. The others were a little skeptical because first, Vijay Raj does not have a persona of a bad man. You know what I'm saying? Persona in the sense of he's not a big guy. He's not that, and the villain, the way it was written in the film, many people thought of different type of
Yeah, like
actors for it.
menacing. Someone with like a
Very menacing.
starring personality, maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
So I was the one person who felt that no, I want menacing, but don't want menacing from the point of view of size. I wanted menacing in his eyes. You know, I want a guy who seems like a mad enough guy to put a firecracker up somebody's bum. You know, so that was the kind of menacing I was looking for. And Vijay Raj was just right for me. So Vijay Raj didn't do any audition, and he was just cast straight up.
I can
Straight up.
imagine, yeah, because he is a flawless actor.
Yeah.
But how did you get Amir to cameo on the film? Did you have to do a lot of convincing, or was he eager to do that wacky cameo?
No. So there was a bit of both. Amit was very, very eager to be a part of the film because initially there is a part of trivia that you have not mentioned, which is Amir actually wanted to play Kunal Roy Kapoor's role.
He wanted to play Nitin. Yes.
Yeah, he wanted to play Nitin, and but he was too well built because he was preparing for Gajni at that point. So there was no way that I could have, cast Amir Khan wouldn't have really worked for it, and he knew it, but he really wanted to do Nitin. So he wanted to be a part of the film. And then we wrote this character called Disco Fighter in it, and then we said, okay, Amir, now you have to do this because we had a poster and all that. And then we figured out after the edit was ready of the film, we said, you know what, let's do an end credit song with Disco Fighter, and then he said, oh, okay, this is fun. This sounds good. 2 days of shoot, I'll do. So he was very eager, but it took a little bit of convincing to tell him to be a part in this form of this crazy, Mithun Chakravarti meets Bappi Lahiri meets Anil Kapoor. Was the kind of combo we wanted as Disco Fighter.
He nailed it, whatever.
Oh my God, he was amazing. Amazing.
Now, back then, we also thought there was a sequel coming out called Disco Fighter. And I think you guys also fueled those rumors.
Yeah, we did. No, fueled the rumor in the sense of we didn't talk about it in the film. we just said that coming soon in and as Amir Khan in and as Disco Fighter, which we just put it as a, that was just a little gag that we did. It was not meant to be because we didn't ever have a script called Disco Fighter or anything. But well, I think it's something, it's time that we started really genuinely thinking about it.
Yeah, I think so. I think now is a good time for a film like that to come out for a relief for audiences. Now, I also want to talk about the film's iconic soundtrack. So many. It was so different for its time, and yet so many of the songs became a hit. They even kind of went into mainstream. Were you kind of overwhelmed by the kind of reception the soundtrack received?
Uh, I would be lying if I said that that I had not anticipated it. I did anticipate because see, Ram Sampath is a very dear friend and we have done advertising work forever, and we both kind of know each other and are very well tuned, even now, and then particularly all my advertising, majority of my advertising work was being produced and made by Ram. And when Ram and me collaborated on this film, we had decided that every crazy idea that we ever had of music, which we could never do in advertising, we must do in this film. Because this is a crazy enough film to allow any kind of, music to happen. And all kudos to him that he came up with such gems, one after the other, whether you call it DK Bose or whether you call it Vedardi Raja or, Ja Chudel, all or even one of my favorites
50s.
is the Saigal Blues,
Oh,
which is the
Saigal Blues,
beginning.
yes. Yeah.
Then there is a love song, which is such a beautiful love song. So I think it was one of those moments when we just had a absolutely fantastic 6 or 7 song album, which was just out of the park. Yeah, so it is all credit to him, and of course, a lot of credit goes to Amir as well to accept songs like DK Bose,
Yeah.
to say that, yeah, this kind of thing will
Behind
be there in
DK
the
Bose. How did that come about?
that is the story, yeah. The sense of I desperately wanted a song to play behind the chase, when those boys are running, and that whole sequence where Veer Das's tie is being pulled by that goon. And so I wanted a sequence to play there, I mean, a track to play there. And I didn't want it just to be background score, I wanted a song. So I kept, and Ram played 2, 3 different tracks to me, and I said, no, it's not working. So we were just sitting and chatting. So me and Akshat and Ram were sitting. Akshat is the writer. And we were all chatting generally. So over lunch, we were generally chatting and we said, do you remember one of us said something and it triggered some conversation about how in school we used to not be able to say bad words out loud, right? So we used to kind of convert them into some, so we used to have these alternative words, right? So we would call somebody, hey, basket. Now everybody knew what that meant, okay? Yeah. But I'm calling him basket. Right. So he knows what I'm talking about. So I said, that used to be fun. So the Ram turned around and said, one second. This might be a great idea. And Akshat turned around and said, do you remember this? We used to call DK Bose. Okay. And I said, yeah. And we were all reminiscing about the past. And then Ram picked it up and he said, one sec, give me 1 hour. And he went inside and he came back with this track. And we immediately called up Amir and said, Amir, just come. So he came to the studio and we sat down, we made him hear the track. And at that point, Amir was floored.
Really?
And he said,
take much convincing?
Wow. No, his quote unquote, I'll tell you. Amir heard the whole thing. And then he sat and he started laughing and he said, तुम लोग मेरा career बर्बाद करने वाले हो, मेरा नाम मिट्टी में मिलाने वाले हो, लेकिन फिर भी it is a track which we can't say no to, which have to be in the film. So
and it's iconic now.
Iconic, absolutely.
And one important thing that I have to ask you about, the film is what 70% in English, right? And it's an Amir Khan production. It's also mainstream once you have such a big Khan involved in it immediately. Yeah. Did you feel it was a big gamble keeping a bulk of the film in English? And did you ever consider perhaps keeping the bulk in Hindi and minimizing the English in it?
All these thoughts had happened. I mean, we had contemplated a lot of things because we all, as a matter of fact, Amir was one who was very eager to turn this into a Hindi film with 30% English, Um, while actually me and Akshat were very clear that I personally felt that the way Akshat has written, see, many jokes that work in English, they don't work in Hindi.
Yeah.
And vice versa. There's a whole bunch of, humor that works in Hindi but cannot work in English. So there was there was a, there was a way that the film was conceived by the writer. The way he had written it, the way the jokes were written, 90% of them would have died if it was turned into Hindi. So we would have had to change the jokes. And I didn't want to do that. I felt that the sanctity of the original script that was written by Akshat should be maintained, and that's the reason why I fought tooth and nail to make sure that the film is in English. But
And
we
you
did dub it in Hindi later.
You did dub it, of course, and it was later remade in Tamil also as satire and
Satire, yeah.
satire. Yeah. All right, I think I've covered everything. But one last question:
Sure.
can you drink orange juice now?
Yeah. I can very happily.
You
I can. Yeah. But many of I've scarred a lot of my friends and a whole bunch of generation from orange juice completely. I've scarred their lives
you
as far as
really
orange juice is
have.
concerned.
You really have scarred a lot of us. Yeah. After you
Yeah.
watch the film, it takes you quite some time to get used to orange juice again, for sure.
But guys, look at it like this, Shilpa, that today if the day or every day you drink orange juice, or anytime you're drinking an orange juice, you're thinking of Delhi Belly. Now, like, what better can there be in terms of memorizing it?
It's just an advertising director to do that to you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me, Abhinay. It was an absolute pleasure.